Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, or Tank12, however you call me, I don't really care. And welcome back to World of Tanks. Oh god, I just almost messed up my intro. That's not a good start. Today I got a gameplay for you guys in my P43 Tear, the Italian tier 7 medium tank. And to be fair, this vehicle was just yesterday promoted quite substantially on this channel because I was playing it for like 5 games on the live stream and I didn't fare very well. It's a very good tank, and I thought I should have to show you guys some glimpse of what this vehicle is capable of, because it certainly is very powerful. We're playing on Fjords, and Fjords is going to be our main objective today. It's Friday, and that means we're going to be doing a map analysis, and Fjords is going to be in the center of our attention today. First and foremost, we're going to be looking at this game that I had, and then afterwards we're going to jump into map tactics, and we're going to take a look at how we managed to maybe lose or win this match, depending on the outcome you'll see in this video. So, first thing is first, Fjords and the vehicle matchup that we have right here. We are almost top tier. This is very important. There are only 2 tier 8 vehicles. Other than that, just a couple tier 7s and quite a few tier 6 vehicles. This is very important for this vehicle, for any tier 7, because if you keep in mind, the P43 Tear is a tank that has very good rate of fire, with a very competitive 90mm gun at tier 7, but it certainly does lack the penetration that you would need at tier 8 or higher. But such matchups as this are brilliant. So I'm gonna be talking a bit more about positioning later on in the video. Right now we're just going to be focusing on what I'm doing right here. If you've played Fjords, which I'm pretty damn sure you have, there are 3 distinctive places that are very important on this map. You have the northern passageway, which in my opinion is one of the worst places that you can actually go to be fair. And the southern passageway, which is basically the same thing, just reversed in the south instead of the north. The thing is, you have to go to either one of those places depending on your vehicle type. If you are playing a heavy tank, most of the time you'll go to the south, because obviously being in the middle right here, which we'll talk about just in a second, is not really the position you can play. Now, heavy tanks usually brawl out their battles in the south, and that always has been a part of this map, but this map has changed quite drastically over the last couple of years. This position right here in the middle was very different back in the days. It was a lot more open, and it was a lot more difficult for the southern team, or the eastern team right here, to actually get into this position. Now the balance has kind of shifted, and it's kind of a very difficult map to balance out, to be fair. I do enjoy it very much. I'm probably one of the few guys who enjoys this map very much, because it does give you the perfect aggressive kind of medium tank gameplay that you can't really get on a lot of maps. Mines is another one of those. High risk, high reward. If you get the hill, you're going to be in for a good time if you have decent enough gun depression and you pay close enough attention to where your enemy vehicles are. This map is very similar to it. This middle part that I've been sitting at for, let's say, about 4 minutes, since the game started basically, that is one of the places that is very important in this matchup. You can see right there, very aggressive play. The northern enemies can still hold their position, yes, but I think the clear advantage lies with the southern team, because you have a lot more cover here. But we'll get to the details in a second. What you can see right here is that with the P43 Tear, with its rate of fire and with its better armor than, let's say, some other tier 7 counterparts, especially since it's angled a little bit weirdly from time to time. It's a bit more, what do you call it? It's a bit more sharper, the angle. What that means is you'll get some more bounces when you're pulling back, moving forward, because all of a sudden the angle kind of changes for the enemy tank, and that does result in certain bounces that you'll get. Now with the speed, the mobility that you have, which is not on the top level but still is decent for its tier, you're going to have a very nice combination of a vehicle that has 1,100 hit points, which is pretty damn good for a medium tank at tier 7, and very decent mobility combined with a very, very nice hitting gun at tier 7 and tier 8. The rate of fire obviously is one of the main strong points of this vehicle, and you can see right there we were able to rush through our enemy team right there without a problem. We did 3,347 damage. That's pretty damn good. Now keep in mind there's one vehicle against 5 other tanks. No, actually 6. It's a Löwe, and we basically only have a tier 8 artillery, but we have lost all the other tier 8s. And now it's basically 2 tier 7s versus a tier 8 with support of a tier 8 artillery on a map that doesn't really support artillery that much, and 2 tier 6 very likely armored vehicles. So what I decided to do, because I want to have this victory and I want to play it safe, I decided to go cap with the T-21. Now obviously when the Löwe is coming back, he's going to be able to spot me. I don't have the 6th sense skill on this vehicle yet, so what I try to do right here is I try to use this M40-43 to my advantage. Very important. Always use that tanks as cover if you don't have anywhere else to go. And basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just reverse angling my armor so that he doesn't shoot me. And I'm just hiding because I know 232 millimeters of penetration, the Löwe is going to be able to penetrate me without a problem, if he does manage to shoot me. So that basically does conclude this round for us. It was a win, 5 kills, almost 3,400 damage, and a tier 8 match with some nice tier 7s and tier 6 vehicles that you can easily take care of in this vehicle. And I'd say we take a closer look at the map analysis and see why we did so well and what the dynamics of this map basically are. Before we do that, let's just real fast. Okay, I don't have the free camera mode unfortunately, but we can actually take a look at the minimap real fast. Just to clear up some things. This map has changed quite drastically over the last couple of years. The middle part here has been changed most significantly, I think, with the northern part of the map as well. And other than that, if you take a look at the map real fast here in the game, on the in-game minimap, you'll notice that a lot of this map is basically water. This is an old trick from Wargaming, and I just wanted to show you guys this because basically you always forget about the water that they have on every kind of map. They almost have water on every map. Why do they have so much water on these maps? Well, it's pretty simple, because when you're designing a map and it's 1,000 square meters, what you're going to be doing is, no, it's more than 1,000 square meters. It's 1,000 meters in length, 1,000 meters in width. So yeah, what you have is basically about 1/3 water in this map, and then probably another, let's say, I don't know, 1/5 of the map covered in mountains. Basically, that doesn't leave you a lot of space to maneuver. This is one of those maps that just is like old school, have a lot of water, have a lot of object that you can't get on top of, like with these mountains. basically restricting the amount of places you can go and restricting the mobility, which is going to be a pain in the ass for the new wheeled vehicles, because the only place that they can run around freely is basically the CD line here in the middle. Other than that, they're going to be struggling because they don't have a lot of space. So this is an old school map design, so I just wanted to clear that up because you can see it very nicely here. If you're in the game, you don't really notice it because obviously with the sky and like what do you call the map limits, since they have actually really done some crazy work there, it doesn't feel like the map is as much restricted as it is on the minimap, where you can see it very, very clearly. But if you're looking out like this, you'll never go out into the water, obviously, because you're a tank, you're not a boat. But that thing is, like, if you look at this corner right here on the minimap, that is basically all water, and the only place you can drive is some slim land tongue over there where you can actually maneuver. This is one of the old map designs, you know, have a lot of water, and I think this is probably one of the reasons why this map is not very popular. But without further ado, let's jump over to the analysis. I'm going to be using another tool for that, and we're going to be talking about how you can play this map, how you can actually get some decent wins out of it, and yeah, adjust to any kind of situations. So we find ourselves back on StratSketch, a pretty good website. I've been using it for a couple of times now just to take a look at some of the maps, since I'm kind of very interested in continuing this series now. Obviously, I mean, I'm not affiliated with any of them, but it's pretty nice. I think clans probably use this tool. So last time we have looked at the tools a little bit more clearly, so we're going to be drawing a scenario, or this scenario that we had previously, onto this map, and we're going to be talking about this map for a little bit more time. So what happened on this map? Now, I don't remember the exact team construction anymore, but this is basically like the rough outlines how my team was set up. This was basically at the very early stages to the medium time, like I don't even know, it was like the first 3-4 minutes, and then basically they were almost breaking very early on. So that is exactly what happened. We're going to be trying to make this as realistic as possible. I remember a T-25 over there. I remember some light tanks, some lightly wheeled vehicles running around in the middle. And to make it even more realistic, we're going to be making like the sectors. Wait, what kind of? Ah, okay, you can ping it with that. But what we need is we're going to be drawing in the front line, basically. Okay, I would get beaten up so badly by my superiors in the army if they saw me drawing this kind of stuff, because I should know how it should be done. So we're going to be talking about this map in just a second. Just give me the moment to actually put the right situation into context. So right there we go. Okay, there we go. So from the get-go, this map, as I previously already mentioned, it's an old school map that has been refurbished quite a couple of times to make it more balanced to the current meta. Do I think it is fully balanced right now? No. Is any World of Tanks map fully balanced? No. Very difficult. There are too many vehicles, too many variations, variables that can come together to create a huge mess. And it does create a mess from time to time. So why do I think this map is a bit unbalanced? Because the team that is starting on the north, right? Back in the days, they had a very open kind of plain field, where they didn't have a lot of cover back here. Yes, that was one of the things. I think like I almost completely forgot about this map, how it was. There were some slight changes about it, right? But the biggest change was the middle part right here. The middle part, as you could see, I was trying to get to the middle part as soon as the map loaded in. And I was playing in the P43 Tear, very important, depends on what kind of vehicle type you're playing, as always. And you could see the P43 Tear, it's not slow by any means, but it's not the fastest medium tank either. So when I was rushing in from the cap all the way over here, coming in, use green, they actually had quite a lot of time to engage me or drive down here to the position where the heavy tanks brawl it out, right? So this map is played in 3 sectors, like a lot of World of Tanks maps are. You have the corridor up north, which both sides do tend to push for both sides. The faster medium tanks are supposed to go here, right? And overthrow these guys over here, while the fast medium tanks on this side, or let's say medium tanks and maybe tank destroyers, tend to go up here to meet them right here and to fight it out. Actually, completely, no, that's the wrong one. Undo, and let's do this. So we have all the fronts that we can have right now. Actually, one more front that we need to draw into it. And what happens is you have a brawl over here and all the action goes down. And you'll think like, okay, they are quite exposed over here. These mountains do kind of provide quite a lot of cover from artillery, especially if you are artillery down here. You can maybe go down to this flank over here, which does make you kind of a target if they do decide to push right through here. But artillery over here cannot really support these guys over here because the mountain here is in the way. So these guys are a bit in a prickle or a pickle. Bad situation for them because they don't have the arty support that they could have. But at the same time, they are also very limited because artillery needs to choose its position very well. And if they don't have an artillery piece that is very fast, for example, the GW Tiger, for example, because it isn't very fast, it needs to decide where it wants to sit. Because right here, maybe it can shoot into here, but it cannot shoot like any of the vehicles that are in the middle or down here. So that's why artillery needs to decide if they want to sit over there, where they can actually fire down this alleyway, or maybe even sit further over here. I think this mountain wasn't there before back in the days, because they had more opportunities to actually fire down into this channel. That has been kind of nerfed a little bit, but still, a very good artillery player can still get some shots down here. That you obviously don't want, because artillery on this side, on the green team, can only fire into this channel if they sit over here. And even then, it's very difficult to get shots into here because the mountains are just blocking every kind of view. So basically, this is a no artillery zone. You're very much protected. This is also a very much protected area. So that only leaves the middle part right here to be a huge arty hazard most of the time, right? The thing is, though, that ever since they changed this map and made the hill a lot more accessible for the southern team as well, because right now the thing is you only have one access way, right, onto the mountain right here, and that is from the south. So the team that drives in from the north needs to drive here around the corner and then go up here, while the team from the south just needs to drive up this ramp where they're very exposed to get fired at from the middle, right? But they can still go up there without a problem. So that is a very interesting kind of scenario because the southern team can capture this hill a lot easier, and this is where it all gets together. Now, a lot of tank destroyers are sitting over here from this team. The enemy team tank destroyers are over here, and they're basically just shooting at whatever they can shoot at because let's be honest, the field of view is very limited. So this is one of the maps where tank destroyers can be quite um, useless if they do not have a lot of armor because, well, not always you're going to be able to light stuff over here. You're not always going to be able to shoot down over here because they're not always going to be pushing. They might come through the middle. They might already be over there, and then you might just have to reroute. And that is one of the reasons why tank destroyers like to sit over here, just to shoot at the targets that are over here. You know, that might be too aggressive and push down here or from the north. Because that's the only place where they kind of have a line of sight where they can actually fire down into kind of a channel. So what happens is that this part here used to be, there was a rock right here, there were two rocks, and you were able to fight it out with the guys on the other side where they also had a couple of rocks. There was a rock over here, then you had the middle part, you still had this little dump in the middle, but for the southern team, it was very difficult to actually maneuver around this hill because the team over here, they just kind of overbeared this position, and they were able to basically, now this is the old variant, right? They were able to basically fire down into this section. They were able to fire down here. They were able to fire up there, and basically they had everything covered. What happened was these heavy tanks over there were picked off one by one, and then they were able to just push through. And what you had was quite a few vehicles that were just jumbled around, a huge mess over here, and a lot of vehicles just hiding here, waiting for the game to be over because they basically were already done for. You might have maybe pushed through here, overcharged this flank, but at the same time, basically they were already on the way to the base. So what happened was, let's undo all of it. What happened with this kind of passageway now is the south is a lot more flexible in defending the middle. And that's a good thing, but also a bad thing because they kind of unbalanced it. I think it would have been balanced if they added another passageway from the north or made it kind of possible to get up here a little bit easier. They have the protection, to be fair, they have the protection over here because the vehicles that want to shoot these guys that are crossing, they have to get really close over here or they have to be up there already. And that is almost impossible if they're setting up at the beginning of the match. While the green team does have kind of a big risk taking this position and just getting bombed like by these guys over here. So if you have several vehicles right here waiting for the guys passing you over here into that position, you can very early on put some very big pressure on them. And if you have vehicles that are over here as well, you can actually push them out of the position, which does give you kind of an advantage, but you do need to have like these vehicles right here to engage you. Now, the last match, if we saw what happened was they only had one medium tank over here, and it was the tier 6 Italian medium tank, the P43 And what happened was, obviously, that thing is not fast, like as fast as my vehicle. He got into position, I was already up there. Then he had kind of the trouble of hitting me because obviously he's an inferior tank, tier 6, and it's going to be quite difficult for him to actually hit me while I'm over here at this little juncture, this little rock, which gives you very good protection from anything, especially artillery. And what happened was I was just able to out-trade him while he basically only hit me once when I was going up the slope. And once I was in this position and I was set there, they had a huge problem because what happened was any vehicle that was moving up there into that position, trying to overtake this kind of flank at the A9 area, was getting shot by me. And you might think one vehicle shooting up here is not too bad, but with a rate of fire that I had with the vehicle, with the P43 Terror, with the accuracy and with the pen that was good enough, I was able to take out this T25/2 very quickly. Now that vehicle was completely out of position. Tank destroyers usually don't tend to be that aggressive on this map, especially going over here, because you can get shot at from any direction from the north. If you don't control it, you can get shot from here, you can get shot from there. Artillery is going to focus your ass. So yeah, that position, that was obviously just a big misplay from the T25. But keep in mind, now this is a super important position, right? I have views of the entire north. I can fire into all these different sectors. I can control the middle. I can shoot down into the middle. If they start pushing around, and they manage to actually push into the city, I can even engage them from up there. It's very painful to get me out of that position. And that is one of the things that a lot of people have noticed, right? So that is the reason why the Tiger, what was it? The Tiger heavy tank number 6 went over here, and the Japanese Chiri, and they started and tried to challenge me for this position. What happened, they almost got me. I was a bit too cocky. I moved up while this T-34-85 was moving up, because I thought I couldn't let this guy die. That would be the perfect opportunity for us to get them into a pinch and destroy them once and for all. Because if they are dead, let's remove them from the occasion, right? Delete. That's exactly what happened afterwards, right? So we moved up. This front line was completely in shambles. They had artillery was sitting right here at base. They had a light tank. That's the wrong color. They had the light tank sitting over here, which wasn't doing that much, because let's be honest, passive scouting when your team is basically almost completely dead is not going to be working out, because you have no one that is going to be firing for you and doing damage. And what happened was, we got into this position. We had this position covered. They completely failed up north. This position, this flank was overruled by us. And whatever happened in the south, it doesn't matter how many vehicles they have over there, and if they just kind of squashed our southern vehicles right there, we would have been able to just run over. Okay, that's the wrong color. Run through there, get into the base, completely wreck everything, which we did eventually, and then maybe cap, which we did, or go back and destroy the rest of them. Now the thing is, with the different types of vehicles, especially if you're a heavy, you're going to take a lot longer, you're less mobile, you're going to get hit by artillery, you have to split up, which does happen quite a lot, and you're going to get picked up one by one in that scenario. Now the Löwe obviously managed to get back in time, and because of the great armor that vehicle has, and because we were running low on vehicles and I was a one-shot basically, it was the best decision for us to cap. So that's basically what happened in that game. So if we return now to the previous installation on how everything was looking before we actually managed to push them, and which is actually kind of a realistic depiction of this map and the scenario that is played out. How do you play this map? Now the thing is, obviously it is very limited. This map is limited in its sense. Heavy tanks and very slow tank destroyers are going to have a tough time. The only place where they're fully, where they can really brawl is this city part right here. This city part over here is the only place where you have some sort of cover and have kind of a city where you can actually brawl it out. But once it comes to this, where like the green, like the southern team does allow you to get into the city, and the red team is like already all over the place over here, you're basically, your game is almost over, because this city, if this city falls, it's game over for you, because they can actually just decide where they want to go. They can engage all these guys. You're going to light everything up, engage all these guys, kill all the artillery players, and go straight to cap. So that is very important why the southern flank is still, although it is a very crazy kind of chokehold where like the mobility and everything, the fighting is very stale. It's very old school like, and you only have such a little like opening where you can push through, and you're just going to get nailed by every vehicle that is sitting over here on this side, or you know, all the vehicles that are sitting here. Once you get around the corner, the real the payoff is still quite substantially. It's very crazy. The payoff that you have here is crazy. So once you get through this, the game will shift into the favor of the team that manages to push through. Now the thing is, if you look very closely and you look at this map layout, the green team over here actually does have quite the advantage on this this push. So if the red team actually manages to go through and does get into the city, the green team still has a couple of opportunities to take them out when they're pushing through the vehicles that are in this chokehold over here. The thing is just that obviously once they're in the city, it's going to be quite difficult, but still the green team does have kind of a safety net or reassurance in case something goes wrong, that the red team doesn't really have over here. The red team, the big bonus of the red team in the south is if they lose this part, right? If they lose this part and the green team actually just manages to push right through, they have quite a long way to go to cap. That means if you are a very observant player, you get enough time to actually set up defensive positions over here, and you might just repel the encounter, or the vehicles that were previously fighting it out in the middle bracket right here can go down to the south and aid them without having any kind of problem of getting hit by artillery, because artillery cannot fire over this kind of mountain. So that's also an additional bonus for the red team, because the north spawn cannot really get hit by artillery until you're basically like over here or like somewhere over here. You're never completely already safe, but I have to say like the southern part of this map is pretty damn already safe. Yeah, so you still have some ways to balance it out. Now with the green team, obviously once you're here and once the tank destroyers are lit, they are going to be primary targets from the artillery players. They're just going to be smashing down onto them, and that basically is very important. Now the middle part right here, this part where you actually have the closest route to the enemy base, and it's actually not very far. Look at this. I mean, no, this is the wrong color. If you just drive through to the enemy base, it's not very far. This is the direct route, right? But the thing is, it's almost impossible to go through at the beginning. But with the new wheeled vehicles, if you wait a little bit, I think it's possible just to drive through, get artillery, maybe do some damage over here, maybe even get back in time, which is quite unrealistic though. But I mean, you can still just go through, wreck artillery. You have a little bit of a hard time going down the south, and if the artillery is on the little island over there, you might probably just rather just drive through here and then make a sharp turn, then go back this way. I don't know, but yeah, you can see the middle part is still very important, because once this push is happening and these guys get eliminated, which is still rather difficult, this part is very important to engage them. This is basically your control mechanism to all the guys who are trying to get to this hill. So if you're a medium tank at the beginning and you have like speed, and the team is giving you shit for going down south because you want to get into this position, or a tank destroyer, don't feel ashamed, because if you're here, you're doing a very important job by keeping these little pesky motherfuckers that are trying to get up the hill out of their position. And if they get here, you're going to be regretting it going straight to the north, right? Because, okay, whatever, you might have gotten here first before this idiot drove up here because your route is faster and you don't have to go uphill the entire time, he will still get to the hill before you because you have to turn around here, go up there, and then you're just going to be in a brawl over here. It's going to be super nasty, super ugly, and you don't want that. No. So what you can do is right here, engage them, go down here, your fast medium tank, look that no one really goes there, keep this position secure for your team, and then maybe have another teammate that is just in the position right here because he moved there very early on but was afraid that he was just going to get outbrawled by the guy going up there. Since you kind of dealt with that with several other tanks, he might just go into this position, spot basically for everyone on your team, making a freaking death corridor up here and winning you the match. That is very simple. I hope you understand what I mean, right? It's basic and it's not very hard to understand, I think. Now, if we mirror this on the other side, as I mentioned before, the middle area where you're basically engaging these guys from the eastern base, that position is not very well placed. It's not that important as the red position right here, because okay, you might fire down into this alley, but they have the added protection of this little hill right there where you can't really hit them unless they move out into the open, and which only leaves you kind of this direction to shoot at. But still, I mean, if you don't get into the hill because you notice that they actually block this passageway by being there and just basically firing at that route, that is still a valiant place to stay and hope that they actually do drive away so that you can still go up here, because this position is invaluable. This is such an important position for both teams. This is why they made it more accessible for the southern team, because back then it was kind of very, very hard to get to from the southern team. But now, I mean, if you have a good team from the north, you can still compete for this position very comfortably, because I've noticed quite a few times that they do tend to stock the middle, they do tend to be very aggressive with their medium tanks, and they tend to actually get this spot. While the southern team completely forgets that this position is so important, and they just kind of put all the energy on the flanks over here, and they completely forgot about the middle because they're thinking, well, the middle, I will not be fast enough, I will not get there, it's very dangerous for me to be there at the beginning of the match, I will just get spotted, artillery will slap my ass around. And I understand that sentiment, but at the same time, it is very important that you have control of the middle, because the middle is basically almost always the ticket to victory. You have so many opportunities, so many places you can shoot at. There's so much support from here, and you basically completely evaporate an entire flank, because you make them on that side, you make everyone who is still bunching up over here, because they're pussies, they're never pushing around. They're classic World of Tanks players, they're just afraid to take the first move, take the first step. They're just sitting around there and you're forcing their hand. Either they push or they fall back, which did happen quite a few times. And what happens is then huge chaos. Oh my god, everyone is retreating. Everyone is kind of afraid what the hell is happening there. And no one has a clue. These guys can push in, you obliterate an entire flank, and you have the enemy base open. That is why that place is so damn important to control. It's so important, the middle part. So, and basically now we're talking about the last position that I have to mention, and that is the north. I absolutely dislike going up here. Even if I'm in one of the super fast medium tanks, I dislike this position, because you're so much reliant on these guys. If your team over here and here is messing up and they are not getting the guys off of the middle part, what is going to be happening is you're going to be in a pinch. You're going to get fired on from over here and over here. And if you're retreating, since you're a pussy, what is happening is artillery is also going to smack you in the ass, and you're going to have a very, very bad time. So right there, that is a position that I don't like to play from the north. From the south, I don't like to go up there either, because the middle position for me is always going to be the priority. If I'm in a heavy tank, I much rather go to the south. If I'm in a fast heavy tank, I still like to play this position and maybe still sit in this this little valley, because actually this position is not too bad either, but you do need to have protection from these guys over here, right? So if you're sitting in there, like the T-34-85 did, you're kind of protected here from any fire coming over here, but you have to engage these guys, right? But at the same time, if you have knocked them out, you have a vehicle up here, you can actually just go over here, use the gun depression that you might have to your advantage, and engage the guys sitting in the middle. So this is a very flexible position. That's why I like it so much. It just gives you the best kind of things of both sides, and it's a big risk going up there, right? Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. It's like mines, just a little bit more forgiving. I think mines is a lot less forgiving, but that's a map that we'll cover some other day, because I still think that mines is a kind of a special case with the basically the hill in the middle, which is the most important part of the map. So the other positions that we have over here are just sniping spots. Tank destroyers do like to sit here, and this is actually very important that I've noticed not a lot of people doing, not even being capable of doing, because the height difference is very different here, and because there is a little pesky hill, a little rock right here. This rock right here is the best protection you'll ever get. This rock will protect you from anything coming in from over here. Okay, that's the wrong color, one second. You cannot get hit if you're sitting behind this rock, and you are really stupid if you get killed up there from tank destroyers sitting back there, because you're too aggressive. Never be too aggressive in that position. It's so important. It can really help your team change the course of the battle. So don't die from the tank destroyers that are sitting in the back, because they don't really get to shoot you. The only place that can effectively engage you are those two places. And they should only be able to engage you if there is absolutely no one from the green team sitting over here. Like that position, if they can actually shoot at you from over here, down here, and you don't have any cover and you have to fall back, then these guys are not doing their job. Those vehicles you can actually spot because of the very, very short distance, but still keep in mind they can still be a pain in the ass. I've been shot by a super Pershing or Pershing quite a few times when I was running around here with a scout. It's important that you need gun depression over here, or else you are just going to be a little bit useless. But still, keeping this position and spotting is very important, and it just gives you very, very much opportunities to do quite a good bit of damage for your team, quite a lot of supporting damage for your team. Very important spot. Now the last position that we're going to be looking at for the green team is right here. This is actually quite a nice spot for tank destroyers. You can get lit from light tanks that occasionally do run like the middle and do active scouting. But if you play it smart enough, you can just stay hidden and you can fire down this channel. And anyone who is spotting these tanks from the middle part over there, you're just going to be farming the damage for yourself. And you can actually fire down into this chasm as well on some occasions, but not always, because the roofs over here are blocking quite a bit of a sight. But still a pretty damn good position. Now, what does happen when they actually do manage to push down the north from the red team? Now, the thing is, it's very similar to the green team from the south. If you do manage to get around, you can set up defenses over here for, tank destroyers. You can, well, you can't really do that much, but Still, you can engage them right here, and you're rather safe from incoming artillery and incoming enemy vehicles from the south. So you're still safe over there. Just keep in mind, never overexpand any of the flanks. The flanks need to be manned, or else the middle is not going to work. The middle is only going to work if the flanks are being manned, and if you do have vehicles that are just fighting and not just retreating all the time. That is one of the things. You have to be very reliant on your team on this map. That's probably one of the reasons why people don't like it, because if just one of the elements is out of order, you're going to have a pretty bad time. So that does wrap it up. I think that was more than enough. I probably talked about 20 minutes on this video alone on the analysis, but I hope you guys did enjoy it. I am planning some other maps, and I'm looking forward to showing you some more gameplay and some more analysis videos. And yeah, up until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.